The Egyptian government has launched a comprehensive economic strategy. The initiative, which runs through 2030, hopes to create more jobs and improve the quality of life in the country. Yasser Hakim has more from Cairo.
Egypt is suffering from a widening budget deficit, rising inflation, increasing debt, and a weakening Egyptian pound that has lost nearly 90% of its value in 2 years. One of the reasons for this is that global inflation caused by the recent geopolitical instabilities has led to an increased state spending, especially on subsidies for things like medicine, food, fuel, and electricity.
Subsidy bills have reached 342 billion Egyptian pounds. It was below 100 billion Egyptian pounds less than 2 years ago.
In response, the government announced plans to cut state spending, including gradually eradicating subsidies over 5 years. The government also launched economic reforms for 2030 to put the economy back on track. The plan is aimed at achieving an average GDP growth of 6 to 8%. Elevating agriculture, industry, and telecom and IT sectors' GDP contribution to 50%, increasing Suez Canal revenues to $88.1 billion during the period 2024-2030, creating 7 to 8 million jobs, including 5 million in infrastructure and Suez Canal projects, decreasing the debt to GDP ratio from 96% in fiscal year 2022-2023 to 75% in fiscal year 2029-2030. A drop in government earnings from the Suez Canal due to Houthi attacks on vessels in the Red Sea and reduced annual remittances from Egyptians living abroad have further worsened the situation. Experts believe that enhancing productivity in the country will create a more stable revenue stream that would boost the economy.
The most important thing from my point of view that can be sustainable for the medium and the long term is to improve the competitiveness of our exportation, specifically for manufactured product as well as information technology.
The government is turning to the private sector to help achieve its objectives for sustainable growth.
الاقتصاد المصري قادر على مقاومة أي صدمات عنيفة بتحصل.
The economy has to have the resilience against external shocks, and this comes by developing sectors that are not affected by these shocks, like industrialization, agriculture, and productive projects. The privatization process is meant to attract investments to these sectors and encourage businesses to partner, manage, and operate projects in Egypt so that the private investments will account to over 65% of the total investments in the economy.
Experts say improving financial inclusion in the country will also strengthen the Egyptian economy.
The most important thing is economic empowerment of poor people, and at the same time improving, the productivity of labor. This is the most important things that can be done, because as long as you can improve productivity, you can offer more salaries and wages, and by that you can, avoid inflation.
The Egyptian Prime Minister predicts that by mid-2025, Egypt would end its foreign exchange shortfalls, push inflation down to 10% from the current 35%, and sustain any future shocks. Yasser Hakim for CGTN, Cairo, Egypt.